Hey, this is Robert here again at Goozy Fabrication. Got a great rear suspension upgrade video for my DIY guys and gals this week. Tips, tricks, going to walk you through all of the steps so you can install a 4-link rear suspension at home. Got it all laid out. Now this is from TCI, total cost involved. Plus, we're going to be installing a complete rear disc brake setup. Now that's going to be in a following video focusing on the suspension in this video. First up, getting that bed off and out of the way so we can do some work. Now there is nothing wrong with a leaf type suspension, but this is a little resto mod truck. The 4-link is going to give the adjustability so we can lower or raise to our desire. Set the frame on 0. Now, before the rear suspension is removed, we need to mark out the axle center line on the frame. Now, this tool is a center finder for tubing or pipe. That's going to give us the top dead center. Now we're going to make a little mark. Now when you use these, don't hammer them. They're not hardened. And we're going to use just a simple piece of steel. We want to keep it parallel. There's been a hole drilled in the middle. We're kind of lining that up with this mark that we've punched. Or I should say lightly scored. You don't want to punch with that tool. Now, once we have that, we can hang a plumb bob off. And we want to be kind of close to the frame without any interference. And then we're just going to secure that line. Like so. Now we're going to be able to mark our axle center line on the frame. We'll put a mark on the bottom and then one on the top. Following the string line closely, now we can use a straight edge and mark out our axle center line. Now this step is just for insurance. We're going to punch a couple of small divots in case something happens to our soapstone line, it gets marked off or whatever. We have a reference. Now, for another reference, we want to make sure everything is square. So we're using that rivet and we're going to mark off and measure out both sides because everything has to be square. The axle has to be square in the frame. The online store is open. We have all of the specialty tools, supplies, consumables to make the repairs on your projects go fast and easy. The link is in the description. I love these little couplers for the torch. Okay, you don't have to use a torch. You can use a cutoff wheel, a grinder, but we're going to be removing the spring hanger. That's just the easiest way. Get it all out, the rear suspension all out as one unit. So we're going to blow the heads off of those rivets, then come back with a punch in an air hammer. And never be intimidated if you don't have all of the tools you see me using. I mean, you can use hand tools, you can borrow tools, you can, if you want to get something done, you will figure it out. That's what this channel is all about. Do-it-yourselfers. Okay, rear suspension down and out. Now we're just going to cut the heads off of those rivets and get them out of the way. Now this is our front 4-link hanger. Get that secured. Now with this kit, it does bolt into place. And we need to get that cross member out of the way. And there it is. We are ready to proceed with the mount for the 4-link. And according to the instructions, we know our measurements, so we're going to measure that out, get the proper location. And now we need to find the center of the top of our frame rail. And once that's marked, we are good to go. And the way now this mount is actually going to go inside of the frame rail, but we're going to have to locate it on the top, drill a hole, and then on the bottom so we can install this thing. Using our center punch. And if you use a little bit of oil on your drill bits, man, they're going to cut so much better and last so much longer. We'll get the top hole for our mount drilled. And we want to measure again because we need this to be the rear axle to be square in the frame. The old rule, measure twice, not cut once, but drill once. Okay, so we have our 4-link arms. And we're going to get this rear mounted. Now we're starting the assembly process. I mean, this kit is very, very straightforward and very easy to use. If you get your measurements, a few critical measurements right, man, the whole thing starts falling into place really quickly. It bolts into place. The only welding we're going to have to do is on this rear axle. We're going to have to cut off the original mounts, and then we're going to have to locate and re-weld those mounts on for the new coilover shocks and 4-link mount. And you can cut those off with the cut-off wheel, torch, get it cleaned up. And now we're going to have to get the remnant out of the way. And you want to be real careful not to damage or gouge into the round tubing. We want to make a nice looking job. So just take your time. We want to do a little bit at a time. Once we've gotten this far, now we can use our little grinding wheel. And man, for welds, that grinding wheel will make short work of it. It is awesome. And now we're going to move on to a flat disc. I believe that's 60 grit on the flat disc. And it's just a progression. And you can see because we didn't get too aggressive, well, we didn't gouge into our metal. And we're just going to finish it off with some 80 grit. Or excuse me, that's 36 grit. But for steel, yeah, bare steel, that's gonna give us a really nice finish. And now our axle housing is prepped for the new mounts. And now the fastest, easiest way for me to clean off the rest of the axle is with this flap disc or flap wheel. And now we know the
36 center
overall
to center.
length,
It's 56 inches
and we know
overall.
what it needs to be centered at. So now we can just minus those and measure that out on each side. And something really important, the center section where the third member is, whether it's a Ford or whatever type of rear end you're using. Now, they're not exactly centered, some of them. They can be offset. So that if you don't measure this way, that can throw you off if you try to measure from the center. Okay, so now we're locating our mounts, and the easiest way to do this is to set that. I remove the center section. We set it on 0 because the instructions say we need 1 degree. So our axle housing is on 0 with this finder or the degree. We can set that on 1 where it is supposed to be, get it tacked into place. And we are not fully welding because we want to install everything, make sure everything is in the right place. Even though the instructions say they are, well, we're not going to fully weld until we know. Okay, time for assembly. And installing something like this at home, you can do the 4-link part. Maybe you got to take the axle out to a welding shop, let them weld it. But man, this is very doable for you to do this upgrade at home by yourself. Okay, coming in up into location. Yeah, this kit is pretty much it's mostly a bolt-in kit. And everything's like really nice hardware for this also. It's a pretty well thought out kit. Now there's other kits on the market. I'm not saying you got to buy this one, but just do yourself a favor, do some research, read some reviews. Start with something that's quality. That way you can avoid a lot of headaches and problems. Okay, track bar is installed. Now we want to make take final measurements. Now this is going to make sure that we have the same width or length of axle sticking out from the frame rail from both sides. And like I mentioned, regardless of where our center section is, because usually one axle tube is a little bit longer than the other. Oh, we don't skip that one. And kaboom, here it is, installed. Everything looks great. Next up, we're going to be installing that rear disc brake kit. We've already installed a front suspension, Mustang 2 front suspension. If you haven't seen that video, go back, check that out. It's in the playlist. We've also boxed the front frame rails. And I just want to say a big shout out to all of our followers, subscribers. Leave some likes, subscribe, and leave comments. And as always, thank you for watching.